I'm being sidelined. Senator Ireti Kingibe, representing the Federal Capital Territory, cries out over marginalization in the Senate. Rivers High Court nullifies amendment to State's Assembly Commission law recently amended by the Martins Amehule-led faction. House of Representatives reshuffles 4 committee chairmanships today. Now let's take headlines outside Nigeria. Malawians thrown into mourning following the death of the country's Vice President, Salos Chilima, and 9 others in a plane crash. Jacob Zuma's party MK seeks to stop the newly elected National Assembly from sitting for the first time on Friday. Tonight on Politics HQ, what should Nigerians make of the increasing moves at Nigeria's National Assembly to create an additional state in the southeast geopolitical zone? And is this feasible in the current Nigerian political reality? We'll talk about that tonight. Also, Nigeria's House of Representatives seems to be on what may be described as a constitution amendment steroids. They seem to be on constitution amendment steroids. Forgive me for that. We'll look at the latest tranche of 15 bills meant to, among other things, alter the tenor of the office of the president and the state governors in Nigeria. I'm Kofi Bartels. Politics HQ starts now. You're welcome. A group of 35 lawmakers in the Nigerian House of Representatives, who call themselves reform-minded lawmakers, are pushing for a single 6-year term for presidents and governors in the country. These already are eligible for 2 tenors of 4 years each. The group, who have presented 6 draft bills that have passed the first reading on the floor of the Nigerian Senate, House of Representatives, out of 50 that they intend to push through, they're proposing to change the current 2 terms of 4 years for Nigerian presidents and governors. Ikenga Ikegonu Ugochinyere, who represents Idato Federal Constituency North and South in Imo State in southeast Nigeria, is sponsoring the bill along with 15 other lawmakers, 35 others, spoke on behalf of the reform-minded lawmakers. Forgive me for saying 15 because he is also pushing the new state creation bill with 15 others. Now, during the presentation he made to journalists, he said the aim of the bills is to, quote, redefine and redesign the political landscape of a country on various matters, including governance, economic restructuring, security, justice sector reforms, and other social bills targeting national unity. Now, this is a landmark, a bombshell move. Well, as part of their governance and political restructuring, they want to reform the Constitution of Nigeria and amend the Electoral Act. What are they amending in the Electoral Act? They're proposing to amend the Electoral Act regarding presidents, state governors, local government chairmen, and National Assembly and State Assembly members as well. There's a whole rung of political elected offices. The reformers, the House of Representatives, led by Ikenga Ikegonu Ugochinyere of Imo State, are proposing an amendment to the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Now, this 1999 Constitution has undergone several amendments over the years. We're all aware of some of them. And they want to create a single 6-year term for presidents and state governors. Not just that, they also want to recognize the 6 geopolitical zones. Like I always say, these 6 geopolitical are not constitutional. They want to make them constitutional and introduce the rotation of offices of the president, the governors, and local government chairmen amongst the different regions or zones. So you have a local government chairman from one part of an area, it'll go around, like it's done in the PDP. Another aspect of the bill they want to amend is to ensure that Nigeria conducts all its elections for the president, for governors, for the National Assembly, state assemblies, the FCT area councils on the same day, at the same time, not on 2 different days or weeks. Now, these 6 draft bills are not alone. They're among a raft of 50 bills that the group of 36 House of Representatives members is trying to push through the floor of the House. Now, the 6 bills have passed first reading and are awaiting second reading. We'll look at all of that as we go. A lot to unpack. The representatives have been citing the Ways report, the Oronsaye report. They've been citing the Constitution National Conference of 2014, and a raft of other reports from the days of IBB to Sani Abacha to Olusegun Obasanjo to Yar'Adua to Jonathan to Buhari that have not been implemented and are packing dust in a government office somewhere. This is what they're putting together, and they want to see bring to the light of day. We want to introduce our guest tonight. Monday Mawah is first up with us. He's a legal practitioner. Later, we'll be joined by Paul Ananaba. Do we have Paul Ananaba with us? Okay, so we'll be joined by Paul Ananaba later, who's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Monday Mawah, I see a very wide smile on your face. Good evening to you.
You are looking different and looking even finer than before with your new haircut.
Oh my God, here we go again.
You are not like us.
I just have to reduce my age, so I can look as sharp as you. But they said every low mountain shall rise again. So let's see. Monday, let's talk about this. What is your view on the proposal by these 36 representatives, as they are now known, representatives, not honorables, led by Ikenga Ugochinyere? Some Nigerians are asking, are these reforms what the legislature needs to be focusing on at this time?
Well, first, I must quickly commend their courage. 36 of them out of the whole number of them in the national, about 3 or something in the National Assembly. So their proposal is commendable if allowed to see the light of the day. For instance, talking about 6 years single tenure for I think the president, and then talking about concluding pre-election matter before election, and then concluding post-election matter before the holder of office is sworn in. I think those are those are pertinent issues that are really very good and will be very helpful to our democracy. But you see, as good as they are, to my mind, I don't really think our problem at the moment is issue of bad laws. Like a scholar once said, that the problem of any system is not bad laws. The problem of any system is the bad people who are in charge of administration of the law. If you have a good law and bad people to administer them, you will be worse. It will be worse off than having good laws. Sorry, if you have good laws with bad people to administer them, there is no difference. So what we need is good people. If we have good people and bad laws, we can still manage them. But once you have bad people, no matter how good the law is, it cannot stand the test of time. I think that is the problem. I think that is the predicament we find ourselves at the moment. For instance, if you say to me, I think ordinarily the 2 term of 8 years is supposed to be good. Okay. If you ask me, the reason is simple to my mind.
Okay, we'll get to that at some point, but okay. I want to introduce.
Well, I think what I will say is that I think the idea is commendable.
But is this a time? Because some Nigerians are saying, you know what, there's a lot going on in the country today. Yesterday, you guys wanted us to have a new national anthem. You passed it. The next day was about the judicial officers and their remuneration. You passed it. We have pending issues of the economy, of inflation, of electricity tariff hike, of minimum wage. We do not need this at this time. So is this what they should be focusing on? Very quickly.
I think, you see, good governance will translate to everything we are talking about now. For instance, if
all right.
The major problem we have today is the issue of leadership. If we can get it right at the point of leadership, which what they are also seeking to achieve now is eminent, I think we'll get every other thing right.
All right. All right.
That's my belief, okay. And that's my take.
Interesting. We'll come to the details because you've already gone there. And I want to take your thoughts on that because you've given us some quite interesting poses already. Abubakar Umar Kari is joining us now. He's professor of political sociology at the University of Abuja. Boubacar Kari, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. All right. Mr. Kari, as far as you're concerned, is it doing the right thing at the right time, what these 36 representatives are embarking on, or the right thing at the wrong time?
Well, the line was breaking, so I really didn't hear you. So if you could, the question again, please.
Yeah. Asking you for your comment on
Yes,
the timing
please.
of this action by the representatives. Are they doing the right thing at the right time, or doing the right thing at the wrong time?
Well, as legislators, we cannot say that they are doing. Is to propose amendments to the Constitution to make laws as part of their own mandate. So I don't have any problem with the fact that they propose such amendments in the first place. Though I do not entirely agree with some of the things that they are proposing, because they are rather controversial.
Okay.
And if we take the issue,
We'll get to those issues later, but you think that it's good to come up with such, because some Nigerians, why I'm asking this question, gentlemen, it's because some Nigerians are saying there are more pressing issues to, to focus on as legislators, sorry.
No. I do not subscribe to that opinion. Of course, there are other pressing issues, but even this one is a pressing issue in itself. Let's be very fair to them. One of the major problems of our democratic march since 1999, of course, is the issue of election, is the issue of conducting free, fair, credible, transparent, and acceptable election. Somehow, we have had since 1999 appear to be worse than the one before it, with few exceptions. And if we get our electoral system right, I think we would have taken a very decisive step towards addressing many of our problems. A problem of leadership, a problem of political recruitment, problem of their proposition is not out of place. We cannot see, because there are issues of the economy and security, which I must admit but at the same time, electoral reform is also a germane issue. However, I do not entirely accept the proposition of having all elections in one day simply because we want to save costs. I think the conduct of election is a Sisyphean task. It's a Herculean task. It's a pretty serious business. We don't have to lump up all elections in one day. It will not work. I don't believe it will work. The EMB, the election management body, INEC, is going to be overburdened. Even the ordinary voter is going to be overburdened.
Okay, Mr. Kari, we'll come to all of that. We'll come to all of that. Yes, we'll come to all of that, Mr. Kari. Let's move on to the first, one of the proposals. First up, the single term of 6 years for the president and governors. This is not the first time such a proposal has been made. We know the discussions on National Conference. Monday Mawah, are you in favor of this? Come do your 6 years and go away, Mr. Governor. Come do your 6 years and go away, Mr. President.
I am not in support. And the reason for that is simple. Now, you see, the 8 years we have now, having 4 years, fourth term, then second term, another 4 years, making 8 years, to me is better. Not because I'm a public office, I'm seeking for public office. Don't forget, Mr. Kofi, I am the deputy governorship candidate of Labour Party in Edo State for the forthcoming gubernatorial election. Now, not because I'm seeking for office, but the reason is simple. If you look at the behavior of politicians all over, particularly in our space here. Once they get the first year, they tend to do well. And then by the time they are going for this, they get the second term ticket, most of them relax. And like some of the proponents will say that at that point, they are now trying to put their back together, getting ready to exit the government house. Now, if you not give a man one single term and he wins, he does not believe there is a need to impress the people anymore, just like some of our people are doing when they are in their first term. Look around it, almost all of them, the first term of many of our office holders always seem to be the best. Then by the time they get their second term, my brother, you see them relaxing. You will even begin to wonder if they are even still in government. So now if you give this same man just one single term of 6 years, once he wins election and he knows that he is not coming to canvass for vote from the people again, he believes that he has no obligation to them. Unfortunately, I put it in that form. So whatever he can amass in quote, like some of them they do, within that 6 years, he just sit down, amass what he can amass, knowing quite well that he's not going to go back to seek for any re-election again. Then we may eventually have a useless 6 years without something viable to show for it.
All right, interesting. Wow, you're a politician, like you said, deputy running mate and governorship election, and you probably speaking from your insight into party politics. But Abubakar Kari, where do you stand on this? Are there no advantages in having a single 6-year presidency or governorship? Mr. Kari. Abubakar Kari, are you there?
Well, we cannot say that there are no advantages, but yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go on.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Please go on. Yeah, but Abubakar Kari, we can hear you clearly, so please go on. You're very clear. All right, well, Abubakar Kari is trying
what I was trying to say, of course, there are some advantages, particularly the proponents of a single 6-year term of the view that it will spur on specified period of time, given the fact that they do not have the opportunity to come back. There is nothing like a second term. And therefore, anybody who is serious, anybody who has a program to implement, who has some ideas to try, should be able to do that, should be able to achieve that within the 6-year term. And I think that is a very strong argument. But I am not necessarily for that kind of argument, because the other side, of course, is the fact that we may have a very useless person that will continue for 6 years, and he or she will become a burden on the populace, on the electorate, on society, messing up for up to 6 years. And therefore, there should be an opportunity after 4 years for a political office holder.
Abubakar Kari, sorry to interject here. Your fear that we may have, in your words, a useless person, they're messing up for 6 years. What good has the 4 years done Nigeria? And I mean, each president has had one complaint or the other, marking their tenure, but they still get elected for a second 4 years. Even if they can't even talk, they will still get elected. So what will change? What has the 4 years done or benefited Nigeria?
Well, my position is that we should allow the 4-year renewable ones regime to continue, maybe for the next 25 years, so to say. We shouldn't just jettison it after trying it about 4 or 5 times. I don't think it is enough time, but that is not to say that there are no obvious problems there. I admit there are obvious problems as highlighted by the learned gentleman there, that it is possible that what happens sometimes is that some of those people appear to completely lose steam during the second term. They don't do anything, or they spend the first term trying to amass as much wealth, as much resources as possible to enable them aspire for second term. Yes, there are problems, but I still believe that the best thing to do is to give opportunity for renewal once.
All right. Monday Mawah, sorry, Abubakar Kari, thank you. We'll come back to that conversation. We'll take a quick break, and I'll take Monday Mawah's, I'll play devil's advocate, learned counsel, and then let's see what I can change your mind. Let's go for a break. We'll be right back right here with Politics HQ. Welcome back. Still arguing, debating, extreme, analyzing proposal by group of lawmakers, 36 of them, led by Representative Ikenga Ikegonu Ugochinyere of Ideato's North and South Federal Constituency of Imo State. He's been in the House of Representatives for just about 1 year, barely 1 year, and he's already made a big impact with his speeches, press conferences, and bill sponsorships. Indeed, the latest, of course, a raft of 50 bills, 6 of which have been read on the floor of the House of Representatives last week. We're waiting for the remaining 44, so we know what they contain. With us, and of course, these bills, of course, recommending or proposing very, very far-reaching constitutional amendments. We serve with us Monday Mawah legal practitioner, Abubakar Kari, who is a professor of political sociology at the University of Abuja. Monday Mawah, both of you seem to be on the same page. You're both saying you prefer to have 2 terms of 4 years for presidents and governors. After 4 years, go to the polls. Let the people conduct a referendum on your tenure, and if they want you back, they vote you back. But Monday Mawah, it could be argued that the people, your colleagues, you're a politician, you are standing for election, your colleagues, when elected into office, before, from 99, 2003, 2007, will spend the first 4 years working very hard so that they can get re-elected. And when they come back the second 4 years, they go to bed. That's the time for their retirement and pension. But now, the situation is that they spend the first 4 years campaigning, politicking, strategizing to get re-elected. And it could be argued that development, infrastructure, and all other things suffer. Maybe they're following what Kwame Nkrumah said, seek ye first the political kingdom. So they spend the first 4 years seeking the political kingdom, and then after that, development suffers. So the argument could be made that 6 straight years means you're not thinking about, will I get re-elected or not? If you want to do any reform, you can do it. If you want to do something that will anger the Agbero, but you don't need the Agbero's vote again, you will do it. Monday Mawah.
Correct. Fantastic. And like a prof rightly noted, it has its own advantage, or it has some advantages. You see, me, I'm only looking at it from the kind of political climb we found ourselves at the moment. You see, again, I think we need a whole lot of political sensitization on our people, the electorate. Because ordinarily, the reason we some of us prefer these 4 years, then you try another one, is that if I do not perform properly during the first term, get me back in and bring in another person, probably Kofi.
Yeah.
So, but the problem is that what our people, the electorate, are used to is this money politics. That, if the man is able to amass a whole lot of money, by the next election, come to the truth and begin to give 30,000 naira, we'll return you back again. And it's quite unfortunate. And that is where we are at the moment, unfortunately. But, you see, like I also argued earlier, the man that gets the first term It thinks about, oh, if I don't do a little bit, there will be nothing for me to show during when I'm presenting my report card to seek for second tenure. So he will just try to do one or two things. And then by the time he's coming back again, we'll begin to tell you, hey, gentlemen or gentlemen, I've given you borehole. The road that was bad before, I did it. This, I did this, I did that. And then the people begin to look, and if you be able to bring me back again, I'll give you double what I did last year. Or I'll give you 2 roads. So all of that. But when by the time they know that, oh, I'm not returning back again, this is my fear. It's personal to me. I can assure you, 85% of our Nigerian politicians, once they get that, they will go and relax. And they will look at it as a way of getting whatever they can get as a retirement benefit, like you rightly noted earlier. That is my fear about it.
Interesting. Abubakar, I don't know if you will do the same when you get there, if you're elected in the forthcoming Edo governorship election as running mate, vice governorship candidate of Labour Party. You know, you guys change. But anyway, let's say you're not part of them. Abubakar Kari,
we are the new breed. We are the new breed.
All right. All right. Abubakar Kari, what are your thoughts on the proposal to have 2 vice presidents for Nigeria? This is one I've never heard before, I must confess. I haven't heard this before. One for the north and one for the south. One is said to be a ceremonial president or succession president to be there in case the vice president, to be there in case the president dies, while another will be there acting as a minister for the economy. What are your thoughts?
A very controversial one, and I think they want to reassure the people because Nigerian politics represent a particular region of the country. Power will not completely, presumably so, leave that particular region. Some kind of reassurance. But the problem is that this whole thing for me is against national cohesion, so to say. Because it is unfortunate if you really continue to play politics, binary kind of politics, on the basis of region, zone, states, and so on and so forth. And again, if you have 2 vice presidents, what assurance do we have that there will be no clash, that there will be no territory, and so on and so forth? How, what arrangements will be put in place to delineate their specific roles and responsibilities in such a way that one does not veer into the other's territory, so to say. So it is quite problematic, but I admit it is novel. And so far, or up to this moment that we have been practicing these turn-by-turn kind of things, maybe it will give some a provision had been in place. Goodluck Jonathan might not have been the president. Maybe there would have been 2 vice presidents for Yar'Adua, and when Yar'Adua died, somebody from the north would have been the vice president. So that would have been.
Okay.
We should have a national position. We should try to create a nation, not regions. We should have national leaders, not regional champions.
Okay, that's an interesting point. Let's have a nation. Let's have national leaders, not regional champions. Monday Mawah, are we in danger of, with all the raft of agitations coming in, having regional government? Yesterday, the Southwest governors met and they announced a new regional anthem, even though they denounced agitations for Yoruba Nation and all that. We've always seen all these sparks here and there. Are Nigerians, are we getting towards more fragmented federation? a nation as it seems?
Sincerely speaking, I think we should return back to the old regional system. Now, all of this agitation you are seeing today, they will keep on until we get to a point where we decide to sit down and tell ourselves the truth. The federation or the federal system that we are operating is no longer working. Now, let's have a system where you get based on what you are bringing in. So the federal system that we are operating today is just benefiting from what is not even contributing. And
but Monday, is that not possible without, forming the national foundation of tribe and ethnicity?
I didn't get that.
Is all this not possible without, building Nigeria on the foundation of tribalism and ethnicity? Like you said, we will have regional champions.
Well, you see, the point is this. Why all this agitation going on? Oh, those from the south region are saying, well, the majority part of the oil is coming from us. And we are like the hen that is laying the egg, but it's not even allowed to take a little bite of what we are laying. Now, recently now, those from the east are also coming and say, well, please, we need a better side. We can produce things better than any other part. Let us be, you see, if we are able to say, okay, let everybody go back to their region. I don't really, well, Professor has said it. What am I going to add to what Professor has said? But personally speaking, if we revert back to, because if you look at the old regional system, we're having more peace. Unlike this agitation that we are having here and there. We're not having that then. At that point, we're having like the cocoa from the southwest, yeah. Then, so many of the regions we are producing, it was like we are more in competition than what we are having today, where every state now they sit back lazily in their various states, waiting for the end of the month to go and share money from the federation account. Nobody is even thinking about what they can do anymore. Nobody is producing anymore. All we now do at the end of the month, everybody they go back, they go to the various states at what is it called? The Attorney, not Attorney General now, the Auditor General, like they call them, go to Abuja to get the money from the federal government, from the federation account, and they return back and begin to. So how long are we going to continue this sharing formula?
Okay, based on what you're saying, looking at regionalism, do you support constitutionalizing the idea of the 6 geopolitical zones, which was never constitutional consideration, and enshrining it in the Constitution?
Yes, well, that will now lead to a kind of an amendment of the Constitution. There is nothing magical about it. We sit down. The problem we are having is the fact that we as a people, we are shy in sitting down and discussing our problem in a very practical way. What is wrong in this area? Is it not about putting our problem beneath our table and just feeling or smiling at ourselves? No. We should bring out our problem. Let me know that, oh, this is what Mr. Kofi issue is. This is what Professor is talking about. This is what Mawah is talking about. We look at it from the available things as a body, as a nation. And Profs made the point earlier on that he was talking about a national system, a national leadership. But the point is, until we're able to identify these peculiarities and accept them as a whole, we can't really move on. And that is my position on this. We can't move on. It's like pretending that we are good, whereas deep inside of us, we are not really good. And so
right.
this vehicle called nation will continue going this way.
Okay, Prof, what's your take on this? Won't we see a more fragmented nation when in fact, what will be the benefit of constitutionalizing the so-called 6 geopolitical zones?
First and foremost, I do not believe in the so-called 6 geopolitical zone, and we have to go back to history. This so-called 6 geopolitical zone started during the Abacha's National Political Reform Conference. And it came from a position muted, canvassed, and promoted by the late Dr. Alex Ekweme. And I think it was selfish and self-serving in the first place. And it fails to take a lot of things into consideration, even though it has successfully been sold to so many people, so much that many believe that it is even constitutional. I say it is not right because, one, being from the Northeast, I know for certain that my region is seriously shortchanged in the so-called 6 geopolitical zones of a thing. However you look at it, if you look at it in terms of population, in terms of size, for instance, and in terms of diversity, the Northeast is the most diverse region in Nigeria. If there are 250 languages or language groups in Nigeria, more than half of them come from the Northeast. So, diversity speaking, it is not right. And in terms of size, for instance, it may in Yobe State, and the Mambila is over 1,300 kilometers. If you set out in the morning, you cannot reach there that same day, the same geopolitical zone. They do not share anything in common. And so to lump them up together and call them a geopolitical zone is not fair. I don't have any problem with creating a geopolitical zone, but not 6, because the 6 as presently constituted is not being fair to some part of the country. Some of the geopolitical zones are completely, they are together historically. The Northeast has never been together historically. If we go back to the recent history, a part of it was under the Kanembu, under the Sokoto Caliphate. Some have more affinity, and they have been lumped up together as one geopolitical zone. So if we must have a geopolitical zone, we must have to revisit it. It certainly cannot be 6. But concretely speaking, to begin to rotate power amongst this region, for God's sake, when are we going to create the real Nigerian? Why are we insisting on creating regional and sub-regional champions? In the 21st century, 60 years after independence, if we must have Nigeria, then we should have Nigerians. We shouldn't have subnational groups taking precedence over the nation itself. And so that is why I do not subscribe.
I'll take your thoughts Monday Mawah on that, because this is where both of you have different views. So I want to come back to you when we come back from the break. We'll be right back. Let's pay our bills. Stay with us. Welcome back. We still have with us Abubakar Umar-Kari and, of course, Monday Mawah, both joining us virtually. Monday Mawah, just to give you a chance to respond to what Professor said, whilst you favor this geopolitical arrangement or something that resembles a renegotiation of the current arrangement and division of Nigeria along regional lines, Prof here thinks that this regionalism will create only regional ethnic champions, and is even also saying that the current geopolitical division, while still being unconstitutional, is marrying states and peoples together that have nothing in common. Barrister.
I agree, and I quite sympathize with this region, sincerely speaking. And we have many of that scattered all over. If you come to, I'm from Edo State, if you come to Edo State today, there are those within the riverine area that the language of those people and those of the Kogi State, they are the same. Now, if you move a bit to the area, the Delta State area, there are other group of people within the region that they classify them as Delta, who also have shared the same language with this group of people. You know, I think in trying to actually to share people in process of calling this what they did, like it Prof rightly said. Some person that ordinarily supposed to be in region A, they were cut out to region B. Some other that are supposed to be in region C, cut out to region D. And that brings us back to my earlier position that we actually need to sit down and talk. Frankly speaking. Now, Prof has expressed the dissatisfaction of his region. Now, you can imagine he said if we have about 250 languages in Nigeria, over half of them are from this region. Now, they still classify those group of people as just one region. And they are now placing them among 6 regions. Ordinarily, that is more than a region from his statement. So we need to come together on a round table of brotherhood and discuss, not discussion based on fear, but discussion based on sincerity of purpose. So we can recognize our differences and be able to know, okay, Mr. A, this is what I recognize about your place. How do we accommodate it for the purpose of moving together? Because the point is this, it's like we are moving together without an agreement. There is no this in law, there is something we call addendum, the meeting of the mind. So it's like some group of persons are being forced to move along this system that they are not even in tune, they are not in consensus with. And this is what we need to talk. We need to come together and really have a sincere and frank, a sincere discussion among ourselves as
Prof,
people.
Yeah, Professor, what's your response to what he just said?
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong in talking, actually. There's nothing absolutely wrong in talking. But the problem is that some people who insist that we have institutions like the National Assembly that we are supposed to articulate and promote our own thoughts. But if, based on necessity, there is a need to create a platform or some kind of forum or a formal meeting of Nigerians to discuss their present and future, I don't have a problem with that. If the meeting is going to be based on honest, sincere conversation. But it also throws its own challenges. The idea of having to meet to discuss Nigeria beyond or outside the National Assembly also throws represent who? Is it going to be by election? Is it going to be based on ethnicity, language, region, interest, or what? So all these are problems. And so that is why some people say any idea of canvassing for a special kind of meeting is like a solution looking for problem, because the solution exists in the National Assembly. The House of Representatives, for instance, is supposed to be a house for the people based on population. And so all Nigerians need to do is to elect the right people who speak for them or who speak on their behalf, rather than jettisoning existing formal institutions and then looking for extra and convenient avenues of talking. So talking is not a problem, but how do we talk? And who talks to who? How do we select or elect or nominate?
Gentlemen, we have to go. We have to go. I mean, 19 or so, at least 10 billion, at least 10 billion naira was spent, for the what do you call it again? 10 billion naira was spent for the national conference. In 2014, 494 Nigerians were part of that national conference. We've been talking. Even before the national conference at Abacha's time, there was a conference. Nigerians were talking. So isn't this enough talking? I'll ask you Monday Mawah and Prof when we come back from the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The area known in political and national conversation as Southeast Geopolitical Zone in Nigeria, made up of 5 states, has for years demanded for an additional 6th state to make it at par with the other geopolitical zones in Nigeria, who all have 6 states. Nigeria has 36 states created by different military regimes between 1967 and 1996, and 6 geopolitical zones mostly divided along ethnic lines, like Prof has been saying. Well, the latest bill, this was last week, the latest is a bill sponsored by Representative Ikenga Gochinyere, again, of the PDP, Delta North-South Federal Constituency, and 15 others, totaling 16 of them, which seeks to create Olo State. Now, the bill passed first reading at the House of Reps and is currently awaiting second reading at the lower chamber. Now, that was last week. This week, yesterday, Ned Nwoko, a senator, Nigerian billionaire, representing Delta North Central District, he says he will sponsor a constitutional bill to create Ananaba State in the southeast. He said it's on X that the creation of a new state is urgent and compelling, and he wants to correct some anomalies. I want to take your thoughts, gentlemen, on this. Ananaba State is going to take out from Delta State, some parts of Asawa and all that, and add it to, I think, Anambra State, if I'm not mistaken. So over to you, Professor. Is there an urgent need for a new state, an additional state, a sixth state in Nigeria's southeast?
No, there isn't. I do not believe that. I do not subscribe to that view. Again, sincerely speaking, looking at it from the point of view of population or size, Niger State, for instance, in terms of size, is more than 5 times the entire 5 southeast states. So if any state should be split in, again, in terms of population, the southeast is the least populated region. So I think the fact that they have 5 states is enough for them. And
okay,
if you
Prof, thank you.
I can assure you, there will be agitation for all sorts of states.
Thank you,
So
Prof. I want to quickly give Monday Mawah a chance to comment on this. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
I do not think we need more states again. Because if we commit this state creation again, it's like a snowball. Before you know it, the Ananaba State, we want to create another state from it. The Olu, we also want to create another state from it. So if we have no end, I think we are good where we are. Let's just look for how to develop ourselves and become a nationhood instead of these pieces of things that we are calling nations today.
All right, gentlemen, we have to leave it at that. Quite interesting. You're ending on the same page. How about that? That's pretty beautiful. Thank you very much for your time tonight, Professor Abubakar Makari, Professor of Political Sociology at the University of Abuja. And of course, we're joined also by legal practitioner all the way from Edo State, Monday Mawah, who also has reminded us that he's a deputy governorship candidate for Labour Party in the forthcoming elections. Gentlemen, have a great day. All the best, and we appreciate your time. From me and the entire team, that's the size of our package tonight. We'll return tomorrow, same time, same station, with the hottest conversations on issues in Nigerian politics. Good night.